Okay, hi. So first thing we're gonna see when we come to study the C language is that we have an include statement up here. This include statement actually tells the compiler what routines, what files that contain routines we wanna include in our file in our program. So in this particular case, we have the standard input output stdio.h. .h is signed for a header file. So what we actually do is we include some function that we're going to use in the main function in order to make our software or program work. What we have here is a main function. The main function is what actually begins the running of the program. This, whatever is inside these braces will run. Okay, so every function has a return value. This return value is marked here as int. So this int tells us that the main function will return a value. Okay, so this is the int. It tells us that we're going to return an int value. So this printf line tells the compiler, tells the software to actually print this line to the screen. Okay, this line hello world will be printed to the screen. Everything within this quote marks will be printed, and this is a statement. This is a statement in C language. This all line, and a statement in C language ends with semicolon. Okay, you can see the semicolon here and the semicolon here. This ends every line. Okay, so we have the printf function. It tells the computer to print to the screen this message, and this \n tells the compiler to go down a row. It's like pressing the enter button on the keyboard. So what we have here, as you already can understand, is a program that will print to the screen hello world and will return the value 0 to whoever called it. So I'm gonna run this software now, this program, to show you what it actually does. Just have to save it before we run it. Okay, so I'm gonna press build and run, and you can see that it says hello world, and it has the \n that causes it to go down a row. We have an empty row, empty line, and then we have process return 0. Just want to show you one thing. Just change this one, change the return value to 1, and build it again. Just save it, build it again, and you can see process returned 1. Okay, so now we're gonna do something a little bit more sophisticated. We're gonna enter variable. So when we declare a variable in C, we have to tell the type of the variable, and in this case we're gonna use int. Int stands for integer, so the value int will be x, and semicolon to end line. All variable declaration has to be at the beginning of the function. So we're gonna have to put this all declaration, and then only then we can start using the other functions. So after I declared the integer x, I can do two things to initialize it. First thing, this value doesn't have anything in it. It does have garbage, what we call garbage. So it actually has anything, it can be anything in it, so we can't use this value. So in order to initialize it, I can do both. Initialize it when I declare it, or I can leave it that way and then initialize it here. Well, this doesn't exactly initializes it, it puts a value into it. Okay, so we can do both. I will choose now to initialize it and give it the value 0. When I want to print f an integer, what I can do is delete all these. And to tell the compiler that I want to print an integer, I will put the %d sign. %d sign says print an integer, and after the quote mark end, we'll put this, and we will write the name of the variable that we want to print. Actually, what will happen now is that we will printf the integer x. So just to show you, I'm going to write something before. We're going to leave this hello world, and you're going to see this %d is going to become the x variable, which equals to 0. So I'm going to save it and build and run. As you can see, we have hello world and we have the value 0. If I want to declare another variable, I can declare a y variable and call it 4, and I can call this one 3. And what I can do now is on the printf I can put %d, %d, and over here just delete one of them for later. And what I can do now is print the x and the y. Build and run. Oh, sorry. Forgot the semicolon here. I'm going to save it, build and run, and you see hello world 3 and 4. We have more games to do with it, so afterwards I can put the plus sign here and build and run. You can see I added the plus sign. 3 plus 4. It doesn't sense for the actual mathematic, but it just shows the numbers. Okay, so I can write equal to another %d, and in the next, this one is a little bit more sophisticated. I'm gonna write the actual mathematic drill over here, x plus y. This will tell us that the first %d will be x, the second one will be y, and the third one will be x plus y. X plus y, it will calculate it. So I'm gonna save it again and build and run. You can see I have 3 plus 4 equals 7. Okay, and I don't really need these marks, just so it doesn't really calculate over here. Calculate it after I put the variables. So okay, done with that. Let's change this variable type to double. Now I want to want 4.3. Y equals 4.3. So to print a double, I can't use the %d anymore. If I want to print a double, I have to use the %d for the x, percent else, something else, for the y, and it depends on the result, but this one also has to have the type same as the result of x plus y. If x plus y is a double, which means in this case it will be 7.3. So this is actually a double. I'm gonna have to say to put another type of variable here. So for x, as we said, we have the %d. For y, we'll have the %f, and for x plus y, we will have the %f again. I'm going to show you in a moment what happens if we put %d. You can try it alone. So what happens now is 3, 4.3, and 7.3. If I would have put in the result point D, I would get a problematic thing. Okay, just a random value, doesn't know where to get it from. So, buddy. Okay. So, the next stage in this tutorial will be how to get a variable from the user and how to get a number from the user and put it in a variable. So if I don't initialize this x, let's get back a moment, leave it like that, x. If I do not initialize this and I want to take a number from the user, I can use this function scanf. These two functions are very basic, scanf and printf. Don't forget the semicolon at the end. So I want to scanf. Again, I'll tell him I want to scanf a %d. I want to scanf an integer. I want to scan an integer from the user. Okay, and then I'm telling it I want to scan the integer into the variable x. Okay, you see this one, this is new, the ampersand sign. The ampersand sign is actually a reference. So this is a much more sophisticated material, so we won't be focusing on it now, but it actually, when you use scanf, you have to put this ampersand sign before the x, before the variable. Okay, so now when I want to build and run, save it, build and run, the software will wait for my input. So I'm going to give it an input 3 and press enter, and then he takes the 3 that I given him and he prints it. Okay, if I would have given him another input, it would have printed the other input. Okay, so what I actually did is I declared a variable. I told the user that I want to get the variable from him. So usually we're going to tell him by printf, we're going to tell him please enter an integer value, and then we're going to take the integer value into the variable x and then print it. Okay, so that's about it for today. Hope to see you in our next tutorials. Have fun.